Joining us now is Rick Green, who is the founder of the Patriot Academy. Thank you for coming on the show, Rick.
Hey, good to be with you. Good morning.
Absolutely. Now, what are the pros and cons of the framework for gun control measures that a bipartisan group of senators recently unveiled?
Well, you know, the devil's in the details, so we don't know yet until we see the actual specifics that they're proposing. It's all hypothetical at this point and conceptual, but I would say very few pros and a whole lot of cons. Nothing that they're proposing so far that we've seen in the evidence actually saves lives. It's really taken the wrong approach, but there are cons. It's a very slippery slope. It gets rid of due process. There are already things in the law that allows you to deal with a mentally ill individual, to stop someone if you already have a sign, if they've actually threatened someone. So the things they're actually proposing, I think, are bad ideas for the Constitution, and it's also bad for federalism because the federal government shouldn't be doing this in the first place. This is a police power for state and local government.
So, Rick, you mentioned that the laws already provide the avenues to curtail these sort of problems that we're having in these mass shootings. Why aren't those being utilized?
Well, too often the threats are ignored. Too often people don't want to deal with the situation. Schools ignore sometimes these threats. But here's the thing. Most people are trying to stop this on the front end, somehow know that somebody's going to do something a week from now, a month from now. The evidence shows you the only thing that actually saves lives in these situations is proximity to the mass murderer when they show up with someone that actually can put down the threat. In other words, when you have someone there that is armed and trained, they can stop the threat immediately in seconds, not minutes. Most all of these mass murderers, it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I mean, Uvalde's an exception at an hour and 20 minutes. If you had had a sheepdog with a firearm, able and trained to stop the threat in seconds, then it would, all the headlines would be like West Virginia. Remember what happened in West Virginia the day after Uvalde? Bad guy comes in, wants to kill 40 people with an AR. Sheepdog with a ponytail, this lady takes out her firearm and stops the threat in seconds. The only person dead that day was the bad guy that wanted to kill people. That's the way it should be. That's why we need more trained citizens with firearms to stop the threat.
So in your view, are there any reasonable gun control measures that the Senate could consider that would save lives as well as protect the rights of law-abiding citizens?
Well, no, first of all, from a constitutional perspective, it's not a federal job. This is not something in the Constitution given to the federal government. They're always inept when they try to implement these things. This should be done at the state and local level. And yes, at the state level, there are some things that you can do, but this is not a federal, it should not be a federal responsibility. When they try to do things like, let's take, for instance, all of the talk about magazine capacities. Whenever they reduce magazine capacities, the only people that follow that law are the law-abiding citizens. So all you're doing is making it harder for law-abiding citizens to defend themselves when the crazy guy comes in. The crazed person that wants to kill as many people as possible, the dedicated killer, they're going to ignore all of these laws. And even if you stop them from getting a gun, they're going to use a car. You can kill just as many people with a vehicle just as fast, just like we saw in Wisconsin.
Activists are hoping that if the Republicans do vote on a small-scale gun control measure, that this will break the gun lobby's hold on the GOP. What is your reaction to this?
Well, I think when we say gun lobby, are we talking about citizens that want to defend themselves? If that's the case, then you're talking about hundreds of millions of citizens. Most people understand the right of self-defense, and I don't think they have a hold on either party. I think we see Republicans that are willing to do gun control, a few, very small handful of Democrats willing to stand up for the Second Amendment. So hopefully we have people in both parties that are willing to stand up for the Constitution. I don't think any measure in Washington, D.C. is going to, quote-unquote, break the hold on either party.
Rick Green, founder of the Patriot Academy, thank you so much for your analysis on this.
You bet. Good to be with you.